The full reveal of the F1 24 game is coming later next month in April, but right now we're going to be talking about things that you guys want to see in F1 24 Driver Career Mode. Because 3 weeks ago in a community post, I put that question to you guys, and here are the top ideas that we're going to discuss in today's video. Starting off with the most popular idea, the old school testing invites from teams. Some metric that you can make teams absolutely hate you or love you. Maybe we affect sponsor relationships, engine manufacturers, and input onto the schedule from team voting. So that's quite a large fleshed out idea actually from this person. So fair play. Actually, to be fair, this has saved me maybe fleshing out the ideas, because sometimes with these ideas I read kind of one line and then it makes my mind go crazy, but this guy has already fleshed out this idea. So the first bit, old school testing invites from teams. So he's referring to way back when EA actually first used to have Formula 1 with the F1 Championship Edition. In that career mode, you had this email system where you would get invited to testing sessions. Now, obviously, in real life Formula 1 now, testing is very limited. You have to usually do it in older cars. For example, now in 2024, for the first time, you can do testing in a ground effect modern F1 car, i.e. the 2022 chassis. Let's say you're testing for McLaren, you drive the McLaren actually from F1 22, but it's actually inside of this testing program on F1 24 career mode, and it's using that old system that we had in Championship Edition way back, where it was you got invited to these tests. There was a certain, I think, like 3 objectives to do, or a certain goal you had to kind of ascertain, and that would kind of have a sliding scale of confidence, I think it was, or something like that, or it definitely could be something like that, where you have to try and impress them, as the comment said, some metric that teams can absolutely hate you or love you. And we've kind of lost that a little bit. You have acclaim, yes, which is like your general broad acclaim in the F1 paddock, but it'd be kind of cool to see specifically, let's say you are going up against, a certain team, then maybe not going to like you very much, or they might actually be so impressed with the fact that you're beating them that they might want you then. They actually want to kind of woo you away from the team you're at. And I say that obviously with, career mode for F1 24 is going to be very much based towards driver career mode. So it's going to be about in the scenarios of you driving for official Formula 1 teams. So seeing what those official teams think of you would be a massive plus point. And then obviously he says affecting relationships with sponsors, engine manufacturers. With driver career mode, sponsors may not play into it. Depends. I don't know. They're building the driver career allegedly from the ground up. So maybe sponsor relations will play into the driver career mode now. Like with my team, you have sponsors. Maybe there's some way they can incorporate those fake sponsors into just the sponsors that appear on your helmet design potentially, and you got to worry about that. And then obviously the engine manufacturer is just the engine supply that your official F1 team actually has. Could that come into play? If they don't like you anymore, your engine supplier leaves and you're forced as a team to pick a different supplier. The second most popular idea was new contract systems. Want something that's more realistic and creates engaging rumors and silly seasons. So I agree, a new contract system does need to be in place. I think they can take a leaf out of F1 Manager as book, where you have specific abilities to move the goalposts with when the contract starts. So actually there is a calendar system in the career mode right now as it is on F1 23. So is there a way they can actually implement putting specific dates on when the contract expires, or when the contract starts, for example? F1 Manager 23 brought that in as a new feature last year, where you could actually sign personnel and drivers on for the following season. So could we do that as a driver, sign on for the next year, or AI teams do that with other drivers? Basically just a revamped system, because to be fair, it has been a very similar system for a while now. And this person said also he wants to he mentioned having it more realistic and creating engaging rumors and silly season. So that kind of goes back to, again, could there be like an email system or a news system where you hear rumors and you hear these kind of silly season things? There's been attempts to do that before in F1 games, where you have a little snippet on news, but I think they could go quite aggressive with having, almost like FIFA used to have. I remember a couple of years ago on career modes, where newspaper articles would change depending on your results and, what you said to press, or, let's say you have a negotiation with a team and it doesn't go well, that somehow makes its way into the press and it's talked about. Or, going back to the first idea of, actually teams hating you or loving you, that could play into the contract system, and that could play into then creating these engaging rumors and silly season tidbits, and hopefully the return of a news article of can anyone stop Max Verstappen? The next idea is a customized calendar, moving all 24 tracks or more around the calendar and have the ability to move sprints as well. I've always advocated for this. I would love for this to be a thing naturally in the F1 game. Obviously, I do it anyway in my career modes right now with mods, but for those of you who are on console, which is probably a majority of people who actually play the F1 game, you unfortunately can't do that, and it'd be great to customize the calendar, or at least just have the ability to do that after Season 1. I understand maybe there's licensing about, it's the official F1 game for that year, so Season 1 has to be the 2024 calendar, but like you can add extra circuits like Portimao, like obviously on F1 23, Shanghai was an extra circuit, now Shanghai is going to be a part of the official calendar, but Portimao, Paul Ricard, you can add those in after Season 1. Maybe, there's a way to slip in after Season 1, you can customize the calendar so it satisfies both parties of, licensing, or if it has to be the 2024 season, 2024 calendar, and then after Season 2, you can do what you want, because, if you can add Paul Ricard and Portimao in after Season 2, that is not a part of the official 2023 calendar on last year's game, but they still managed to do it, so there's definitely, I think, a way around the licensing issues that I feel are potentially the only reason right now stopping you from doing a custom calendar in career mode, is just because they needed to be the official game Season 1, but my idea would just be after Season 2, just kind of let all hell loose, basically. The next idea is going to go into reserve drivers, and I personally, I wouldn't think this would be kind of a good thing to put into the game, like useful thing to put in the game, but really, if you think about it, as of late, in the last few years, reserve drivers have been very important for F1 teams. We just saw earlier this season, reserve driver Ollie Behrman get into the Ferrari because of Sainz's appendicitis. Now, I know it's a game, but they could bring that in as a bit of chance. There's already RNG of engine failures. You go into a weekend and the coding in the background of the game rolls the dice and sees if you're going to get an engine failure. Could there be a roll of the dice of every race weekend? There's, a very small chance that maybe your teammate or even you, there could be like a little, news bulletin or, activity timeline that pops up that says, a dilemma of, you've got some illness or you can't race and you're going to have to nominate your reserve driver to step in, and then you can just watch the race weekend and see the reserve driver in your spot. Or if it's your teammate, you then have to actually then contend with a completely new teammate who might not do as well, so that's your chance to then shine and become the team leader in that sort of situation. So yeah, I'm going to be frank, usually I would say I don't know it's much use putting a reserve driver sort of thing. There are reserve drivers already in the game, actually, technically in F1 23 and in previous games. You just don't really ever see them come into play. But I would say based off earlier this year, actually, why not? It's actually, a realistic thing to maybe have that small chance that a reserve driver might actually be needed. The next idea is one that I've said so many times over the last, it feels like 5 years, honestly, is more team orders and communication between you and your teammate. More than ever now, going into F1 24, driver career mode. So you are the driver, you're not even the team boss, you're just a driver in the team. More than ever, this would be useful. This would be actually very interesting gameplay. If your team gave you a team order to let your more senior teammate by, or you were the team leader and you wanted to convey, look, I need this guy to get out of the way, or I think he should double stack with me, and just have that communication, and yeah, let's double stack, or no, I want to come in, he shouldn't come in. And because how many times have we been frustrated by our teammates double stacking when we don't want them to, or they don't double stack when they should should, i.e. a safety car period, etc., etc. And just having that communication, it could be pre-race, there's like a plan determined, and, you do your strategy screen, and the what tire you're using. Why can't there be another section for teammate orders or teammate engagement of, who's going to pit when? You can see like your more senior teammate has priority of pitting in this window, so you need to pit in a different window, etc., etc. And just having a bit more back and forth, I think it would add some more interesting VO lines for your engineer as well, have some more additions, because that also, the speech with the engineers, obviously we had the changeover from Jeff to Mark in terms of the actual audio, but a lot of the commands haven't changed in a long while, so adding more new commands into that to actually interact with your team more during the race, I think would just add that level of realism you need, especially in a driver career mode where you're not the team boss, so you can't even pretend like you have a say in it. You literally are a driver, so you might have team orders come into play. There's actually two different comments for this next idea, so I'll combine them together, but it says more interaction with junior formulas, like better scouting and ability to see the championship progression, and having F3, F4 and pre-season testing. So this is quite a lot. Let's start off with, it would be nice maybe the next iteration of, having F2 in the game is adding F3 into the game. I feel like that's more of an idea that's better placed for when they actually improve My Team career mode, which I assume is now going to be in F1 25 in terms of the way they work with the game, because then you have a bigger pool and you can maybe develop a junior kind of academy going in your My Team career mode. For driver career mode, in terms of lower formula, the only thing I could say is having a proper ladder system where it's worthwhile, playing through even a small bit of F2 career mode maybe before you do your F1 career. Obviously, I know you could do that technically, as it is, outside of the realms of career mode. But if there was an actual bit in career mode, kind of almost like the F1 2019 F2 story mode, just a little prologue, just to set yourself up for the career mode. Maybe if you do well enough in the prologue, it opens up more F1 teams, or opens up a bonus on respect or whatever, acclaim, something like that to build it in and kind of, just kind of push you off on a story to start the career mode with, kind of. Whereas the rest of the idea, I think, is probably better placed for when My Team gets improved, which is probably going to be in the next game, because we've not heard My Team mentioned at all. So I'm going to guess that there is just going to be all focus on driver career mode. Those are all the most popular ideas and the biggest ones. I'm just going to kind of skim through a kind of smaller ones that didn't get thumbs up as much, basically. But one person says more input on transfers and retirements that occur. So input into transfers, you're not going to get input into transfers, but what that actually makes me think, what I would love to see is something that FIFA does, is the ability to edit the database of your career mode and different teams, because well and truly after a couple of seasons, maybe it gets a bit stale and you want to play around and go bonkers with your career mode. It'd be great to have a tool where you can break the realism and you can control every single transfer. I guess also fleshing out transfer and retirements, having new segments for transfers, new segments for retirements could be cool, just to kind of make it more of a like an event. Because right now when a driver retires, it's just some silly little email. But if that happens in real life, a driver retiring, that's a pretty big deal. So I feel like they should be able to flesh that out, with a retirement cutscene, a press conference maybe. And the same thing with transfers, when it happens, having press all over you or over the driver that has transferred, as obviously was the case when, we found out Hamilton was going to be going to Ferrari next year. Another comment was real life free agent drivers like Schumacher and others for us to choose. Again, this is more of a My Team career mode idea. I feel like some people are maybe a little bit confused about, My Team's kind of place in F1 24. To be honest, I think a lot of us will only be playing driver career mode this year now, because it's going to be the only mode that gets the improvement. But again, that's a cool idea. But for My Team, access to more tracks, car customization for side pods and stuff. So that's definitely, I think, something that I'd be interested in, having more tracks to add on, like Portimao, like Shanghai, like Paul Ricard. Get more tracks, bring back old ones. I mean, I've always said Hockenheim, would love to have that back on a modern Formula 1 game, with the new cars, would be epic. And then he also mentions car customization for side pods. I think, especially because when you're playing driver career mode, you're stuck in the team identity, so you don't really change the livery, the colors don't change, the sponsors don't change unless you use mods. But I think it'd be really cool over the seasons to actually see the livery doesn't change because it's been signed off by an F1 team, but the shape of the car, I feel like there could be some sort of negotiation that happens between Cody's, EA, and the teams where they agree, okay, the livery will stay the same, but we'll just do some generic evolution of the side pods, wings changing, little winglets, engine cover shapes, rear wing shape, just evolve season to season visually, with the livery staying the same, just so it feels like there's an actual, change of time, because that's, one of the only real big sticking points that breaks your illusion and immersion of realism in these career modes is from year to year, the cars stay the exact same. And it's like, we're 5 years on, we're like in 2020, like 9 in game, and the grid looks the exact same in terms of the car shapes, etc. If you use no mods, obviously. So that would definitely be something that would be pretty cool. Others are mentioning things like winter testing, which is always cool, but I feel like has to be done right and in a useful way, because otherwise it could be a bit much of a novelty. But I would enjoy it. Obviously, it'd be something cool to enjoy at the start of the game, but I think in future seasons, it may just become a bit of a novelty, basically. A lot of people mentioning F3, and then also, to be fair, now I'm seeing a lot of the smaller comments actually mentioning a proper contract system where you get teams from offers from teams and climb your way up F1. Again, that's to do with the ladder from F3 to F2, but others are just saying realistic contract systems. I assume by realistic they mean like the F1 manager, where you can set the date and you can sign on for the next year, or you can break contracts and buy yourself out and you can move earlier maybe. I end off with one last comment, which basically just says paddock vibes. That says it all, really. Paddock vibes, living the life, getting that vibe that we got from back in F1 2010, 2011. Bring that back into driver career mode. Yes, there's been improvements with cutscenes, etc. in the last few years with career mode. Obviously, with my team, it's been a leap and bound of what we had before. But now that we're focusing back on driver career, I think this would be a great time to really just completely redo the UI, redo the menu system, and get that paddock feel and getting that live the life feeling and mantra back in the F1 games that we haven't had for so long, I think. But anyway, those have been a bunch of ideas that you guys have wanted for F1 24 driver career mode. Let me know any other further ideas you have from these ones in the comments down below. Thumbs them up, and then if there are enough cool ideas to actually worthwhile discuss, then we might make another video in a little bit. But obviously, we'll be getting the full reveal, or not full reveal, or more of a reveal of F1 24 next month in April. So if you're new around here, get subscribed for that, because as soon as we have any news, I'll be on it on this channel with a video. And if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. I'll catch you guys around. Goodbye.